I never thought I would be the kind of man who checked his wife's phone. For most of our marriage, I trusted her completely. My wife, Melissa, and I had been together for 7 years, married for 4. We met at a friend's birthday party when we were both in our mid-20s. She was funny, confident, and the kind of woman who could make a room feel brighter just by walking into it. At least, that's who I thought she was. For years, people told me I was lucky. Melissa is amazing. Melissa is gorgeous. Melissa is so social. And she was. But what people didn't see was that being married to Melissa sometimes felt like being married to a spotlight. Everything had to revolve around her mood, her plans, her image, her comfort. If she was happy, we were happy. If she was angry, the whole house had to pay for it. Still, I loved her. I worked hard. I paid most of our bills. I planned date nights. I cooked when she was tired. I listened when she complained about work. I tried to be the kind of husband my father never was. About 8 months ago, Melissa started acting different. At first, it was small things. She started going to the gym more often, which would have been great, except she suddenly needed full makeup and perfume to work out. She started keeping her phone face down. She changed her password. She laughed at texts and then locked the screen when I came near. When I asked who she was texting, she would say, "Nobody." God, why are you so paranoid? That word became her favorite. Paranoid. If I noticed she came home late, I was paranoid. If I asked why she had a new dress I'd never seen before, I was insecure. If I asked why she suddenly had weekend work events, I was controlling. The first real red flag happened on a Friday night. Melissa told me she had to stay late because her team was working on a big project. I ordered food and waited up for her. She came home just after midnight. Her hair was messy. Her lipstick was gone. She smelled like alcohol and men's cologne. I asked, was the project at a bar? She rolled her eyes. Don't start. I'm just asking. No, you're accusing. I said, you smell like cologne. She laughed coldly. Oh my God. You're insane. Then she walked past me and went to shower. That night, I barely slept. The next morning, she acted like nothing happened. She made coffee, kissed my cheek, and asked if I wanted to go to brunch. That was Melissa's pattern. Explode, deny, reset. I wanted to believe her. I really did. Because once you admit your spouse might be cheating, your whole life starts cracking open. A few weeks later, her company had a summer party. Spouses were invited. I went. That's when I met Ryan. Ryan was one of Melissa's coworkers. Early 30s, tall, expensive watch, fake-friendly smile. The kind of guy who calls every woman trouble and thinks it's charming. When Melissa introduced us, she acted normal. Too normal. This is Ryan from accounting, she said. Ryan shook my hand and said, so you're the husband. Not nice to meet you. Not Melissa talks about you. Just, so you're the husband. It was such a small thing, but it stuck with me. Later that night, I saw them talking near the balcony. They were standing too close. Melissa touched his arm while laughing. Ryan leaned in and whispered something in her ear. When she noticed me looking, her smile vanished for half a second. Then she waved me over like nothing was wrong. On the drive home, I asked, are you and Ryan close? She sighed. Here we go. I'm asking a question. No, you're being weird because a man spoke to me. I said, he didn't just speak to you. She snapped, you embarrassed me tonight. I didn't do anything. You stood there staring like some jealous creep. I went quiet. She spent the rest of the drive telling me how my insecurity was exhausting, how she couldn't have male friends, how I was becoming possessive. By the time we got home, I was apologizing. That's the thing about gaslighting. You can walk into a conversation with a valid concern and walk out apologizing for having eyes. 2 months passed. Her late nights became more frequent. Her phone became an extension of her hand. She started sleeping with it under her pillow. Our intimacy disappeared. When I tried to talk about it, she said she was stressed. When I tried to plan a weekend away, she said I was smothering her. Then one night, she forgot to turn off her Apple Watch. She was in the shower, and the watch was charging on the nightstand. It lit up. A message from Ryan. Last night was insane. I still can't believe you did that in your living room, LOL. My entire body went cold. Our living room. I stared at the message until the screen went dark. Then another one came in. Wish your husband knew how good his couch is. I felt like I was going to throw up. Melissa came out of the shower wrapped in a towel and saw me standing near the nightstand. Her eyes went straight to the watch. What are you doing? I said, who is Ryan? She froze. Then she recovered. A coworker. I picked up the watch. Why is he talking about our couch? Her face changed. Not guilt. Annoyance. Like I had inconvenienced her by catching her. She grabbed the watch from my hand and said, "You're reading my messages now." I said, "Did you cheat on me in our living room?" She laughed. Actually laughed. You are unbelievable. Answer me. You need help. Melissa. She shouted, I am not doing this with you. Then she grabbed clothes from the closet and left the house. She didn't come back that night. The next morning, she sent me a text. I'm staying with Jenna because I don't feel safe with you when you're acting like this. That was the moment I realized this wasn't just cheating. She was building a story. I was the jealous, unstable husband. She was the trapped wife. And Ryan was probably already being told that our marriage was dead. I didn't respond. Instead, I sat in the living room and stared at the couch. The couch. Then I remembered something. 3 months earlier, after a string of package thefts in our neighborhood, I had installed a small indoor security camera facing the front door and living room window. It was mostly for when we traveled. Melissa knew about it when I installed it, but she never cared because it blended into the bookshelf. I had forgotten about it. Apparently, so had she. My hands were shaking when I opened the app. I scrolled back to the night Ryan mentioned. The footage was there. I watched only enough to confirm what happened. Then I stopped. I will never describe what I saw in detail, because nobody needs that image burned into their brain. But yes. My wife had brought Ryan into our home. They were kissing before they even made it fully inside. They were laughing. She was wearing the dress she told me was for a client dinner. And it happened on our couch. The couch I bought when we got married. The couch where we watched movies. The couch where I held her when her grandmother died. I saved the footage. Then I saved it again. Then I uploaded it to a private drive and sent a copy to my brother, Mark, with the message. Do not open unless I ask. Just keep this safe. Mark called me immediately. I didn't answer. I wasn't ready to say it out loud. That same day, Melissa came home with Jenna. Jenna was her best friend and had never liked me. She always called me too quiet and said Melissa needed someone with more energy. They walked in like they were entering a crime scene. Melissa had red eyes, but I could tell she had been crying for effect, not grief. Jenna glared at me and said, she's here to get some things. Don't make this harder. I looked at Melissa. Are you going to tell the truth? She crossed her arms. The truth is you violated my privacy and scared me. I said, the truth about Ryan. Jenna looked confused for half a second. Melissa said, he's obsessed with Ryan because I work with him. I nodded slowly. So nothing happened. She stared straight at me and said, nothing happened. That was the last chance I gave her. I said, okay. She went upstairs to pack a bag. Jenna stayed in the living room, watching me like I was dangerous. I almost laughed at the irony. A week later, Melissa filed for separation. But she didn't stop there. She posted a long statement on Facebook. She didn't name me directly, but everyone knew. She wrote about emotional abuse, surveillance, controlling behavior, and finally finding the strength to leave. People flooded the comments with support. So proud of you. You deserve better. He always seemed off. Glad you got away. My phone started filling with messages. Some from her friends calling me disgusting. Some from mutual friends saying they were disappointed. Even my mother called and asked, did you really put cameras in the house to spy on her? I said, no. It was a front door camera because packages were getting stolen. She said, Melissa says you used it to monitor her. I said, Mom, Melissa cheated. My mother went quiet. Then she said, are you sure? I said, I have video. Another silence. She whispered, oh. I didn't want to post the footage publicly. Despite everything, I wasn't trying to humiliate her. I just wanted the lies to stop. So I contacted a divorce attorney. Best decision I ever made. He told me not to engage online, not to threaten her, and not to send the video around casually. He also told me to document everything. So I did. Screenshots of her posts. Messages from people harassing me. Bank statements. Timeline of late nights. The Apple Watch messages I remembered word for word. And the video. Then things got worse. Melissa's attorney sent a letter claiming I had subjected her to emotional abuse, that she feared for her safety, and that she should be awarded the house temporarily while I moved out. The house was mine. I bought it 2 years before we got married. Her name was not on the deed. But she wanted me out of my own home. That was when my attorney smiled in a way that made me both nervous and grateful. He said, now we respond. At the first mediation meeting, Melissa showed up with her lawyer and Jenna for emotional support. She looked perfect. Soft makeup, beige sweater, sad eyes. She played the role beautifully. She said she wanted a peaceful separation but needed protection from his controlling behavior. Her lawyer said the camera in the living room was evidence that I had been monitoring her. My attorney asked, was Mrs. Carter aware of the camera? Melissa said quietly, not really. My attorney slid over a printed screenshot. It was a text from 3 months earlier. Melissa had sent me. Camera looks good on the shelf. Hopefully it catches the package thief LOL. Her lawyer's face shifted. Melissa looked down. Then my attorney said, we also have reason to believe Mrs. Carter has been untruthful about the nature of the separation. Melissa's lawyer frowned. What does that mean? My attorney said, it means she had an affair with a coworker in the marital residence, on camera, and then publicly accused my client of abuse to control the narrative. Melissa went pale. Jenna's mouth opened. Melissa whispered, you wouldn't. I looked at her for the first time that day and said, I already did. To be clear, the video was not shown to everyone in graphic detail. My attorney provided a censored still and offered the full footage to legal counsel if necessary. That was enough. Melissa's lawyer asked for a private break. When we returned, the tone had changed completely. Suddenly, Melissa no longer needed the house. Suddenly, she wanted a quiet divorce. Suddenly, she was willing to take only what was legally reasonable. Funny how quickly someone stops being afraid of you when their lies have consequences. But the best part? Ryan was married too. I didn't know that at first. I found out when his wife, Claire, messaged me 2 days after mediation. Her message said, "Is it true?" I stared at it for a long time before replying. "I'm sorry." "Yes." She asked if I had proof. I told her I did, but I would only share it through attorneys or in a way that protected everyone legally. She said she understood. Apparently, Ryan had told her Melissa was just a friend and that I was a crazy husband making things up. Same script. Different victim. Claire and I spoke once on the phone. She cried quietly. Not dramatically. Just the exhausted crying of someone whose reality had collapsed. She said, "He told me I was insecure." I said, "She told me I was paranoid." We both went silent because there was nothing else to say. A month later, Ryan was fired. Not because of the affair itself, from what I understand, but because the company investigated and discovered he and Melissa had been using work trips and company time to cover it up. There were inappropriate messages on company systems, false expense reports, and lies about client meetings. Melissa kept her job for another few weeks. Then she resigned. Or was asked to resign. I don't know. I don't care. Her Facebook post disappeared. Then she posted a vague update about healing privately and not everything is what it seems. I almost admired the commitment to never taking responsibility. Almost. Mutual friends slowly came back. Some apologized. Most didn't. They just acted like nothing happened. That hurt more than I expected. Because people were willing to believe I was abusive based on one emotional post, but when proof came out that she lied, suddenly everyone wanted to stay out of it. I learned something from that. Some people don't care about truth. They care about picking the side that makes them feel righteous first. My divorce was finalized 5 months later. I kept the house. She got a settlement smaller than what she wanted, but fair under the law. She tried once, near the end, to have a personal conversation. We met in a coffee shop because I refused to be alone with her. She looked different. Tired. Angry under the surface. She said, "I never meant for it to go this far." I said, "Which part? The cheating or the lying?" She looked away. I was unhappy. I nodded. "You could have left." She said, "It wasn't that simple. It was simpler than destroying me." Her eyes filled with tears. Old me would have softened. Old me would have reached across the table. Old me would have tried to make her feel better about hurting me. But old me was gone. She said, "Do you hate me?" I thought about it. Then I said, "No. I just don't recognize you." That seemed to hurt her more than anger would have. She said, "I loved you." I said, "Maybe. But not more than you loved being the victim." She didn't have an answer. I left first. After the divorce, I replaced the couch. That sounds small, but it felt huge. I dragged the old one out myself and left it for bulk pickup. I stood there on the driveway looking at it, remembering all the life that had happened on it before she ruined it. Then I went inside. The living room felt empty. But for the first time in months, empty felt clean. My brother came over that weekend and helped me paint the walls. My mom brought food and apologized for doubting me, which meant more than she probably realized. I started therapy. Not because Melissa told people I needed help, but because betrayal changes the way you see everything. You start questioning every memory. Was she lying that night? Was that trip real? Was that smile real? Did I miss signs because I trusted her, or because I was afraid of losing her? Therapy helped me understand that trusting someone who betrays you doesn't make you stupid. It makes them dishonest. There's a difference. 1 year later, my life is quiet. Quiet in the best way. No late-night arguments. No phone face down on the table. No being called paranoid for noticing obvious things. No apologizing just to end a fight. I still have the camera near the front door. It catches packages now. Only packages. Sometimes people ask if I regret using the footage. I don't. I regret needing it. I regret marrying someone who could betray me in my own home and then try to convince the world I was the monster. But I don't regret protecting myself. Because if I hadn't had proof, Melissa would have rewritten my life. She would have turned my concern into control. My heartbreak into abuse. Her affair into escape. And my silence into guilt. So no, I didn't expose her because I wanted revenge. I exposed the truth because she tried to bury me under a lie. She cheated. She lied. She played the victim. And she forgot about the camera in the living room.